Mark's By Precept consultant and homeschool mom here in Texas. When I was growing up, my favorite subject in school was reading, and today it still is, because as a homeschool mom, I have the privilege of teaching my children how to read. One of the things that I love about BJU Press Reading is that one of their goals is to not just teach children how to read, but to teach them to love and enjoy it as well. So today I'm excited to give you a little peek inside of Reading 2. Let's start out by taking a look at the Reading 2 Teacher's Edition. There are two parts to the Teacher's Edition, which cover 180 lessons. And this is going to be the bulk of your material for teaching these lessons and guiding your students through the different readers. In the back of Part 1 of your Teacher's Edition, you'll find the Teacher's Toolkit CD. This CD will have supplemental materials that will help you throughout Reading 2. There are things like teaching aids for phonics, vocabulary, and comprehension, silent reading journals, assessments, and your work text answer key. These are the two Teacher's Editions. Let's start by looking at Part 1. So here's the table of contents. Part 1 of the Teacher's Edition contains lesson plans for Reader A and Reader B. And then you have the goals of reading, different instructional materials that you may need, and optional materials that may be helpful, the contents of the Teacher's Toolkit CD, a sample lesson that will show you the different features and explain what they're all about for you. Reading is taught within the context of phonics. So your child will still continue to see and build on the foundation of phonics that they learned in first grade. They should be familiar with the phonics characters, and they'll continue to review these skills throughout the year. Your child will also continue to develop and build their vocabulary throughout this year. Comprehension is a key skill in reading. The Teacher's Editions will walk you through the process of helping your child to interact with their material through silent reading, guided discussion, oral reading, and independent reading. Your Teacher's Editions will also come with a set of assessments. These forms and tests will help you to evaluate and assess your child's progress as they work through the course. There are different skill checks that will reflect what they've learned and what they've read. This section of the Teacher's Edition will help you to utilize the assessments. Here we have the lesson plan overview. The lesson plan is in a 2-page spread, and we'll show you the lesson content or the title of each story, the lesson number, the Teacher's Edition pages, the student text pages, the work text page, any vocabulary that will be covered in the lesson, the Bible truths, phonics skills, and your lesson objectives. There are 4 student readers in Reading 2. Part 1 of the Teacher's Edition covers Reader 2A and 2B. You'll notice that the spines are colored to match the colors of the lesson plans. Here's a sample lesson. You can see that this particular story is going to be covered in 3 lessons. This box up here will tell you which reader your child will be reading from and the page numbers for each lesson and the corresponding work text pages. This box will go over any phonics skills that need to be taught or reviewed. And this box down here will have any service words that need to be reviewed. Service word cards are available on the Teacher's Toolkit in the back of the book. This section gives you a short synopsis of the selection as well as any background information that might be useful. You can use this information to add facts or share information with your child that might help to create interest in the story. Here are your objectives and materials for Lesson 21. You'll see similar boxes throughout this particular selection. Each reading lesson is broken into 3 different parts: before reading, silent and oral reading, and after reading. Before reading, you're going to want to introduce any new and review vocabulary words. You'll notice that new words are underlined in red in your version of the student reader, and review words are underlined in green. The reading focus is a skill or strategy that your child will need to focus on throughout the selection. The reading lessons often span multiple pages. You'll see a smaller version of your child's reader, as well as discussion questions to ask both before and after silent reading. After reading, you're going to want to take some time to help your child think through and discuss the story. You'll also want to review any vocabulary words and assign their work text pages. Answer keys for the work text pages can be found in the back of the book on the Teacher's Toolkit CD or in the work text answer key. You'll find book activity lessons throughout the Teacher's Edition. These lessons are essentially book reports, but they allow your child to share about a favorite book or story in a creative way. You'll also see lessons dedicated to sustained silent reading. Sustained silent reading is just time that's set aside for uninterrupted reading. Sustained silent reading can develop your child's ability to concentrate. It can allow them to develop a positive attitude towards reading as they apply the skills that they're learning in their lessons to a more informal setting. It expands their vocabulary and allows and encourages your child to select their own reading material and to help encourage them to make wise choices in that. Reading 2 comes with 2 full-length novels in the form of book links. These would be ideal choices for sustained silent reading or book activity project. At the end of the lessons for a particular reader, you'll find a sample of your child's glossary that will be in the back of their student readers. And then at the end of the book, we have an index and the Teacher's Toolkit CD on the back cover. Part 2 of the Teacher's Edition is laid out very similarly to Part 1, with your table of contents, your goals, materials, sample lessons, and explanations. Part 1 corresponds with Reader A and B, and Part 2 corresponds with Reader D and C. And again, you'll see the color coding on the lesson plan overview. Here's Reader 2D. And then you'll also notice that the pages are color-coded as well to match up with the student readers. There are 4 student readers in Reading 2. Each one contains a variety of selections and genres and range in difficulty as your child progresses through the course. Each reader contains a variety of stories from different genres, different styles, and different authors. You may recognize a few names from your local library. In the table of contents, you can see the title of the selection, the page number where it starts, and the type of story or selection that it is: realistic fiction, fantasy, information, poetry. There are fables, articles, and even biblical accounts. Each story or selection starts out with a page to introduce the selection and to get your child thinking about some of the features of the story. For this one, it's onomatopoeia or sound effect words that will be used in the poem on the next page. For longer selections, the stories will be broken up into different sections. At the end of the story, there's a page with different questions for your child to think and discuss and review what they've read, different vocabulary words that were in the story, and a writing prompt. The Look Again feature will pop up occasionally and will give your child a chance to reread a story that they've previously read and do some more related activities. At the end of each book is a glossary and a little section on how to use a glossary. They can find their vocabulary words from the stories in the back of their student reader. The second reader is laid out in very similar fashion. You've got your table of contents with the selection titles, page numbers, and the genre listed underneath. The second book contains several Christmas stories. You may want to keep your eye on the lesson plan overview to help make your schedule line up. Again, you'll see some introductory pages before the story begins. You will probably see some familiar titles and stories in your readers. Amelia Bedelia is a favorite in our house, so my kids were very excited to see this story in here. In the third reading book, Again, you'll have your table of contents. The story of the Wright brothers was a favorite. My kids love history and learning about real people, so they loved that there were actual pictures of the Wright brothers in their reading book. And then at the end of the story, there are questions and vocabulary words for your child to think about and review what they just read. This was a favorite with my son because he got to make a paper airplane for school. And here's the 4th reading book. Now, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but the seahorse on the front almost guaranteed that this was going to be my daughter's favorite book. The layout is very much the same as the other books. One thing I love is how the stories are interconnected. You've got a realistic fictional story about Granny Nell's dulcimer, which is followed up by an article on different types of dulcimers. My kids loved getting to make their own at the end of this story. And then that's followed up by Psalm 33, 1 through 3, which talks about praising the Lord with an instrument of 10 strings. Next, let's take a look at the Reading 2 work text. This work text will offer your child opportunities to practice new skills and to review and reinforce concepts that they've already learned. There is a separate answer key for the reading work text, or you can find the answers on the Teacher's Toolkit CD in the back of your Teacher's Edition. The Reading 2 work text corresponds with all 4 of the student readers. You'll notice that the student readers are color-coded on the spine. See that the colors of the spines correspond to the colors of the pages in your student work text. You'll notice that the edge of the pages are not connected to the spine, and the pages are hole punched. If you choose to remove the pages and pass them out individually, this is a great way to keep them organized in a 3-ring binder, but I generally keep our work text together without much of a problem. There are 2 workbook pages assigned for each lesson, front and back. The front page will generally ask questions about the reading selection, and then the second page will often review different phonics concepts or vocabulary words. The work text will also help your child begin to work on different composition skills. Some of the work text pages can be used as an assessment. It's listed on the bottom of the work text page, but you'll also be able to find that information in your Teacher's Edition. You'll also receive 2 novels with your textbook kit, Pulling Together and The Treasure of Pelican Cove. These can be taught at any time throughout the school year or can be used for book activities, book reports, or sustained silent reading. You'll also receive the BookLinks lesson guides that go along with the novels. These folders contain lesson plans and fun crafts, snacks, games, and activities that will reinforce and help you teach through these novels.